The Bureau of Reclamation, Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, and Bureau of Indian Affairs invite you to attend the upcoming scoping meetings for the Navajo Generating Station and Kayenta Mine. These scoping meetings are being held to provide information and gather public input for an environmental impact statement that is being prepared in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act. This video provides an introduction to the proposed project for the Navajo Generating Station and Kayenta Mine, tells you when and where a number of scoping meetings will be held and what these meetings are for, and explains how you can be an effective participant before, during, and after the scoping meetings. A total of 10 scoping meetings will be held in various locations within Arizona. These scoping meetings are being held to provide information about the proposed project and receive comments from the public. Information provided at each meeting will be the same, only the locations are different. You are welcome to attend any of these meetings. The meetings will be held in an informal open house format, so you can choose to arrive at any time within the published meeting time frame. Once there, you can talk with us to get information about the proposed project. These meetings are important, not only for us to provide information to you about the proposed project, but also to receive your input. At the scoping meetings, we will be accepting comments orally and in writing. To submit an oral comment, you can speak to one of the court reporters who will record what you say word for word. If you would like to give your comments in the Navajo or Hopi language, we will have a Navajo interpreter at each meeting on the Navajo Nation and a Hopi interpreter at the meetings in Tuba City and Kekatsmovi. You can also write your comments on a comment form and return the form to us at one of the meetings, or by mail, fax, or email. Comment forms must be submitted by the end of the comment period on July 7, 2014. Now, we'd like to provide you with background information on the proposed project. The proposed project is to continue operating the Navajo Generating Station and Kayenta Mine for another 25 years, from 2020 through 2044. The Navajo Generating Station, or NGS, is a coal-fired power plant owned by 5 companies. These 5 companies include Salt River Project, which is also the plant's operator, Arizona Public Service, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, Nevada Energy, and Tucson Electric Power. Because the NGS is located on Navajo lands, these co-owners lease the land from the Navajo Nation in order to operate the NGS. This lease expires on December 22, 2019. The Bureau of Reclamation participates in the power plant and receives a portion of the electricity generated. Electricity at NGS is generated using coal from the nearby Kayenta Mine. While the NGS provides continuous, reliable, and cost-effective power to the southwestern United States, the portion of electricity reserved for the Bureau of Reclamation is used to operate pumps that lift Colorado River water into and through the Central Arizona Project Canal. This water is delivered to central and southern Arizona tribes, farmers, and cities. The Navajo Nation Council and President Shelley approved a lease amendment that would allow the NGS to continue operating on Navajo Nation lands through December 2044. However, in addition to this lease amendment, there are several federal agency approvals that must be obtained and/or actions that must be taken in order for the NGS and Kayenta Mine to continue operating for another 25 years. The effects of operating the NGS and Kayenta Mine from 2020 until the end of 2044 will be studied in an Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS. The EIS will be developed in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act. As mentioned earlier, coal for the NGS comes from the Kayenta Mine, which is located about 80 miles southeast of the NGS. The Kayenta Mine is operated by Peabody Western Coal Company and is located on lands leased from the Navajo Nation and Hopi Tribe. In order for the Kayenta Mine to supply coal to the NGS through 2044, the permit to operate the mine must be revised. The Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement must make sure the proposed permit changes comply with federal mining laws. The Bureau of Reclamation, Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, and Bureau of Indian Affairs are the 3 key federal agencies involved in this proposed project. Our major roles are as follows. The Bureau of Reclamation is the lead agency responsible for preparing the EIS. Reclamation must approve the terms of the power plant lease amendment before the lease can be executed. Reclamation also must approve the terms of any extension of a water service contract after 2033 for NGS use of Colorado River water. The Bureau of Indian Affairs is responsible for reviewing and acting on the NGS lease amendment and extensions to right-of-way grants on the Navajo Nation. The Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement is responsible for reviewing the permit revision application for the Kayenta mine and must either approve the application, approve it with special conditions, or disapprove it in keeping with the requirements of the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act. As mentioned earlier, the Bureau of Reclamation participates in the NGS and uses its share of the power generated to operate the pumps that move water through the Central Arizona Project Canal. Reclamation is authorized to sell its share of NGS power that is in excess to the needs of the Central Arizona Project on the open market. The revenues from the sale of this surplus power are deposited into the Lower Colorado River Basin Development Fund. This fund is used to assist in the annual repayment of construction costs for the Central Arizona Project and to help pay for Indian water rights settlement project costs. The proposed project is to continue operating the NGS and Kayenta mine for another 25 years, from 2020 through the end of 2044. The proposed project will be analyzed in the EIS and involves federal actions. Under the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, an EIS must be prepared because these federal actions have the potential to significantly affect the quality of the human environment. We want to know what you think is important to evaluate in the EIS. Alternatives to the proposed project will be studied. Alternatives are other ways that would provide a reliable source of power that, for the Bureau of Reclamation, would be continuously available to operate the Central Arizona Project pumps and provide a source of revenue for the Development Fund through 2044. Also to be studied is the no-action alternative, which describes what would happen if the proposed project is not approved. In this case, the no-action alternative involves closing the NGS after the lease expires in December 2019 and also closing the Kayenta mine. The Bureau of Indian Affairs would not approve the NGS lease amendment or issue right-of-way grants, and the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement would not approve the Kayenta mine permit revision application. After the scoping period ends in July 2014, all public comments received will be reviewed and considered, and a reasonable range of alternatives will be defined. A draft EIS will then be prepared for public review and comment. The draft EIS will describe the proposed project, action alternatives that meet the purpose and need, and the no-action alternative. The draft EIS will also include an evaluation of the potential impacts on the environment if either the proposed project or any of the alternatives were to be carried out. We estimate it will take about 2 years to prepare the draft EIS. Once the draft EIS is available for public review, a number of public meetings will be held to obtain your comments on whether the documents adequately and accurately describes the potential environmental impacts from the proposed project and alternatives. The next phase will be to prepare a final EIS. The final EIS will include responses to comments received from the public on the draft EIS and revisions to the document where needed to address the comments. Each federal agency involved in the project must consider the final EIS before making formal decisions about the proposed project or alternatives. Let's take a closer look at the first phase. This phase is called scoping. During the scoping process, we will hold 10 scoping meetings for interested and affected individuals, groups, and organizations, as well as local, state, and tribal governmental agencies to request input on the proposed project. At these scoping meetings, we will explain the purpose and need for the proposed project, discuss alternatives to be considered, explain decisions to be made, and describe concerns and issues that have been brought up so far. Attending scoping meetings is an important opportunity for you to learn more about the proposed project, ask questions, and provide comments. Your comments and questions will help us make sure that a reasonable range of alternatives and relevant issues are considered during the development of the EIS. We have invited you and others to the scoping meetings to share information, answer your questions, and obtain your input. The scoping meetings will be informal, using an open house format. Information will be provided at various tables around the room, on information boards and handouts. We will be available to discuss your concerns and answer your questions. No formal presentations are planned. Comments are welcome before, during, and after the scoping meetings. However, input for this phase is most helpful if we receive it by the end of the scoping period on July 7, 2014. There are several ways to submit your comments. Before and after the scoping meetings, you can send us your comments in writing by mail, email, or fax. Address information is provided on the screen. At the scoping meetings, we will also be accepting comments orally. To submit an oral comment, you can speak to one of the court reporters who will record what you say word for word. If you would like to give your comments in the Navajo or Hopi language, we will have a Navajo interpreter at each meeting on the Navajo Nation and a Hopi interpreter at the meetings in Tuba City and Kekatsmovi. Or you can write your comments on a comment form that will be available at the meeting. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you will consider the following steps to increase your ability to make a difference. Step 1. Learn more about NEPA. If you attend the scoping meetings, we suggest you read the handout titled Overview of the National Environmental Policy Act, available at the sign-in table. This handout will also be available on the project website. Step 2. Learn more about the proposed project. Read project information and attend a scoping meeting. Project documents and other information will be posted on the project website. Step 3. Ask questions. At the scoping meetings, ask us what sort of input would be helpful to the analysis. Ask questions if something is not clear or easy to find. Step 4. Get involved early and stay involved. The most effective time to make a comment is during the scoping process when important decisions about what the EIS should include are being discussed. Step 5. Prepare your comments carefully. Clearly explain your points. Support your points with information and reasons. Recognize that the NEPA process requires an analysis of facts and evaluation of impacts. Decision makers must balance many objectives and public policy considerations, so be sure to describe why your points are important. Avoid mixing too many ideas in one comment. Make one key point at a time. In summary, let's review the key elements of the EIS. The purpose and need of the proposed project. This element of the EIS is defined by the lead federal agency, the Bureau of Reclamation, and determines the range of alternatives that should be considered in the EIS. It is important to understand the purpose of the proposed project and why it is needed. Project alternatives. This element of the EIS is critical and requires matching the project's purpose and need with possible solutions. An alternative must be able to satisfy the need and fulfill the purpose in order for it to be evaluated in the EIS. If you comment on the alternatives, think not only about the general or overall goals and objectives, but also about specific ideas and details the alternatives should consider. Project impacts or effects. This element of the EIS describes the impacts or effects of implementing the proposed project or any of the alternatives. The scoping period allows you to explain what you know about your community and how the proposed project would affect it. You can also give information on key issues that others may not know. If you want specific issues to be analyzed in the EIS, then describe what you want and why it is important. When you prepare your comments, please be as specific as possible. For example, the comment, "I'm concerned about air quality," is not as helpful as, "The air quality analysis for each alternative should quantify how visibility will change at scenic overlooks within Grand Canyon National Park." If you want your comments to be helpful, follow the steps mentioned earlier. Make your comments specific and clearly state what's on your mind. After you have submitted your comments, please stay involved by attending future meetings and making sure your comments are addressed in the draft and final EIS. We hope the information that we have provided in this video is clear answers your questions, and provides you with helpful suggestions that will make your participation in the NEPA process more meaningful. If you are unable to attend one of the scoping meetings or want more information, please go to the project website, send us an email, or call us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your interest and involvement. We hope to see you at one of the scoping meetings.